All right, so recently a post has been going around causing quite a bit of a stir in the community that I tend to hang around in. So essentially it starts off with the Jake Tour's spicy post regarding keeping a vertical shin, arguing how, we can get good quad strength, good glute strength, and we can do it without irritating the patellar tendon. And I believe that's from one of the interviews with Joe Cook. So obviously check out Jake Tour. I love you, bro. But then Mike Boyle essentially reposted that, and then there's a whole big argument in the comment section, which is actually prime time entertainment. I think Fowler's is literally the best comment ever. I think it's absolutely hilarious. But anyhow, the post itself talks about pain. Pain is obviously an incredibly complicated subject. But I think there is a good biomechanical conversation to be had here because there seems to be a bit of a disconnect between two different concepts. So, okay, loading with a vertical shin, good quad strength, good glute strength, meaning we get some amount of loading for the two joints here, and then it doesn't irritate the tendon, right? So let's go a bit deeper. So first of all, at least in the industry, nowadays we are thinking about loading the tendon without irritating it, giving a good workout without making you suffer more, right? And there seems to be two lines of thought, vertical shin versus knees over toe. And the general consensus of that very short story seems to be that vertical shin leads to less patellar irritation, while knees over toes, quote unquote, leads to more patellar irritation. But the reason behind that is the joint angle, right? So the argument is that the deeper the joint angle is, the more sort of compressive force your patella might experience. And that's actually, Jake Tour has done a more recent video, which is excellent as always. Love you, bro. And the argument is, if you have a deeper joint angle, you have more patellar irritation, vice versa. Less deep joint angle, less patellar irritation. But, joint angle doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the position of your knees relative to your toe, right? That's where the disconnect happened. And once again, vertical shin doesn't tell you anything about joint angle either. So that's where things start getting a little messy. So take this vertical shin lunge exercise, perfectly safe according to bad clinicians as 90 degrees. Right, let's see how many people I trigger. 90 degrees of knee flexion, probably somewhere in the middle in terms of your joint angle range, right? And here's a Patrick sit-up, knees over toes versus vertical shin. And boom, I'm not a Greek mathematician or, someone who's very good with geometry, but that's probably a more shallow joint angle compared to that. So by that logic, right, this movement accessing less deep joint angle should lead to less patellar irritation, but it's knees over toes. So according to the logic, this should actually cause more irritation. But obviously, if we follow the argument of joint angle, linking with irritation, obviously this one's a deeper joint angle, which, technically should make you have more irritation, right? So why is there this misunderstanding? It really has something to do with segment versus joint angles, and that's actually something I've been struggling to communicate well, I suppose, for my own PhD proposal. So here, imagine a world. Knees, relative positions of your knees and your toes simply informs you about the relative positions in the world of your shank, your lower leg, and your foot. So it really doesn't matter what your thigh is doing, right? It can be straight like Michael Jordan. In that case, you're still knees over toes, but obviously, where's the joint angle in that? It's perfectly straight, right? But then if we look over to joint angles, in this case, the knee joint angle, it actually tells us a relationship about our lower leg, the shank, and the thigh, instead of the shank and the foot, right? So these are two different things. So we can't really compare apples to apples, right? So you can have the deepest knee angle, but your knees still behind your toes, right? Look at this. So yeah, Two different concepts. So going back to the argument, right? Keep me a vertical shin. I think the goal here is to really account for the joint angle and considering how joint angle might lead to complications with patellar irritation. It's never necessarily about shin being vertical or shin being Michael Jackson, what the hell? Yeah, it's never about that, right? And I mean, admittedly, that this is Biomechanics 101, but you know, things happen. So yeah. Overall, at the end of the day, take Jake Torres' suggestion, which is modulating the joint angles according to your needs. For a lunge, you can start a bit higher, right? Whether you believe vertical shin or not, you know, it's not really, that's not the point. The point is the joint angle. So you can start a bit higher, allowing your knees to be at a larger angle between these two. Or you can use something like this, right? Which still allows you to have a pretty large angle and just load your tendons. That's how they get better. Stop worrying about shin versus knees over toes. They're, you know, they don't really mean much because all we really care about is joint angle. And also, by the way, the joint angle tells you something about the loads on the joint as well. So, yeah, there you have it. By the way, please go look at the comment section. It's absolute gold. All right, have a good Sunday.